Today I'm going to be using this wizard machine along with the Mega Nestibilities curved rectangular die. I found this to be so useful within my crafting, and I've been trying to find out different ideas of ways of using this die, in particular with the book designs, just by folding your card and making just a bigger page from it. But I'll go through that a bit later on. So here I've got all the different sizes, and I wanted to just show you a few tips just to help you within your cutting. First of all, I have a little bit of a problem when I cut my dies. It doesn't always cut crisply, and I find just by using the magnetic board here that it doesn't cut right through. So just by fiddling about this morning, I've found just by making a piece of card and putting underneath this piece, it just gives that a little bit more of a depth and cuts fine. So take my embossing board and place on the magnet and the sheet underneath, and I'm going to place on my card, and then also onto my cut sheet, as cut board as well, and then just place this through. And there we have your die. Now we've got a bit more resistant just because of the piece of card underneath, and I've just purely done that on mine because it, when I've got my spacer board, when I first bought it, I obviously did something wrong with it and it's curved up, and I find that it gives too much resistance. So for the sake of just buying a new one, which I hadn't got today, that's why I've just used the board underneath. But that's what I find crafting all about, just a little bit extra, you know, working to what you can do at the time. Now the second piece of this workshop and why I was doing it was because normally you have a tan mat, and that's not the right size for this piece. So I've got a different one, but I do find with coloured card, when I place this tan mat over, I tend to get this sort of powdery effect on my card. So this is why this part of the workshop came about, and it was on the forum which I go on, Joanna Sheen's, that Jack Heath from the Crafters Kitchen blog, which you'll find is actually in the #1 position if you're trying to find it. Many people actually go to it, but she gave this tip on the forum of using your ball tool. And because I couldn't use the tan mat, I've just found that very handy. At first I tended to go round just the edge, which didn't give the effect I wanted, and then found that I needed to actually sort of dig my ball tool right in and then follow the edge round. So just work your way round, and with like most embossing parts, if you sort of go over slightly, it won't matter because it will be on the reverse side and you won't see that. So go round. I tend to go round again. And then you can take your piece off and you're just left with that perfect edging. The reason, like again I say, because of the tan mat made this funny mark, but also I was cutting out a little aperture here, and every time I put it back through the wizard, because I hadn't got the mat space right, it didn't straighten up. So again, just using this technique, I got the embossed look that I required. So for my second part of this demo, I just want to share some things that I tend to do with my dies, and this all came about just by buying some spares you know, when I've cut this out, I'm left with a piece of edging. So what I decided to do was to make, when I do my cutting, I tend to put on a die. I put on my die that I want,